offline.
If there's two things I love, it's ironic names like someone whose name should be Anguish, and the parents decided, let's name her Joy. And the second thing is powerful cards that can win games that are underplayed. Powerful card, underplayed, win games. Now let me clarify what I mean here exactly before we get into this. I consider a card that could end a game, or a game ender, to be a card that it itself could potentially end the game or set up a situation to end the game, or it itself has a powerful enough effect that in the right shell could win the game, set up a position to win the game. Makes sense? Doesn't make sense? Watch the fucking video. There actually is a third thing that I like as well besides those two things. I like the fact that these boots I got on, that's where it was with the boots. I like those boots. Got these back on. So let's talk about some potential game ender cards that are underplayed. Before we get into that, if you want to drop a subscribe, hit the bell, that'd be great. You can check out the Patreon members and the YouTube members. Starts as low as $1. That hand thing was not a joke, I just did it. Don't say anything. Starting things off with Moonlit Meditation. This 2 and a blue enchantment aura enchants an artifact or creature we control, and the first time we would create one or more tokens, you instead make that many tokens that are copies of that non-land permanent instead. We got tons of clones if you're in the treasure deck. We got tons of clones if you're in the clue deck. I said we got lots of clones if you're in the treasure deck. If you make them, I will make clones for it. Are you in the token deck? You're in Adrix and Nev? You're in the Marnius Calgar list? This seems ridiculous. There's also kind of a cool interaction with stuff like Coat of Arms, because you could make a ton of copies of the same thing. So if you're like in a tribal deck, I think this is already going to be just like inherently powerful with some of the effects you have in that deck. Of course, you got to bring up Avenger Zendikar when you talk about a card like this. Throw this on Avenger Zendikar, and then every time you make tokens, you're making Avenger of Zendikars. Yeah. Sure. But where I really like this is if you run a token deck, throw one of these in there, and then throw a Kaiga the Tidestar in there, and then have a little play where you throw this on Kaiga, and then you make like 5-10 tokens, make 5-10 Kaigas, sack them all, gain control of 5 or 10 things on the battlefield. I like stuff like that too. It always blows me away how hot I get when I'm recording. So Sweatshirt after one card is already gone. I think that might be a new record. It is a new record, yes. The next one might seem a little weird. By invitation only. This 3 and 2 white sorcery has choose a number between 0 and 13. Each player sacrifices that many creatures. Very good in a board in a go wide deck. There's some of those cards that are like destroy all creatures with mana cost 3 or higher, or destroy all creatures with power 3 or higher and stuff like that, which I think are good in go wide decks. There are some scenarios where you'll have creatures that are higher CMC that you really don't want to be destroying with those, or you might have creatures that are smaller power and toughness, but you've buffed them up with like Anthem effects, and that board wipe now hits those creatures. I think this is like a perfect board wipe for those decks. You tell me that if you made a go wide deck, you have not hit over 13 creatures on your battlefield, like 60-70% of your games. Just name whatever the next smallest number is. That guy over there's got 6 creatures on his board. I'll name 6. Everybody sacks 6. Oh, everyone's board's gone and I still have 6 creatures, and I got to pick no matter the mana cost or power or toughness. Yeah, that'll win you a game. Literally, wiping out people's decks, wiping out people's boards of any blockers in a go wide deck. That's really easy to regulate how many creatures you want to be getting rid of. And it also gets around indestructible. So if you're like versing a lot of artifact decks, a lot of Darksteel stuff going on, this will be very useful at getting rid of some of those big boy creatures that are just Up next is Depthshaker Titan, being 5 and 2 red for a 5/5. When this creature enters the battlefield, any number of non-creature artifacts you control become 3/3 artifact creatures. Sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step. Each artifact creature you control has melee, trample, and haste. I'm just gonna roll the old footage on this one. If you're in the treasure deck, if you're in the clue deck. Yeah, again, if you're in the food deck, the treasure deck, the clue deck, the blood deck, the junk deck, any of those weird little token artifact decks, this is fantastic. You just get to animate all of them into 3/3s that have trample, haste, and melee. Sure. They also have to be sacked, so if you are in a treasure, clue, food deck that also runs stuff like the Wellsprings, this could be pretty good just to get some like sack effects on stuff after you're done swinging with them. And I don't know about you guys, I run a seismic shit ton of mana rocks in all my decks, so it kind of hit me that like, oh, I don't really I mean, you do kind of have to be in one of those artifact token decks, but this thing can animate like a shit ton of just like card draw engines, like Idol of Oblivion, Mana Rocks, like Mind Stone, and just happen to put a bunch of power on the board. But mainly the whole food, treasure, clue thing. Like if you're in like a Rocco Street Chef deck where you're just dishing out food tokens, yeah, you might be able just to stack up enough of them to be like, oh, I'm just gonna go ahead and completely switch strategies and animate all my food tokens and go for the fucking moon and sausage party your ass. Sorry. Your video has been demonetized because you said, quote, sausage party their ass. Up next is Repay in Kind. This 5 and 2 black sorcery has each player's life total become the lowest life total among all players. I'm gonna say the thing. I don't care that it costs 7. There's certain decks where you can just play high CMC stuff. I know you don't like to hear that. So like in a control deck where games are gonna go long, you can control how long you're staying in the game most of the time. This seems pretty good. You just sit behind a little pillow fort, a little control. Maybe if you want to run stacks and be that guy, wall, and just don't get touched by the opponents. Wait for someone to get really low and then be like, oh yeah, all of our lives become 4. And I'm easily the hardest thing to attack at this table. I'm just saying, it seems okay. I also kind of like this in a group slug deck where you're just slowly pinging people with stuff, where you've got stuff like Hissing Iguanar that's like, oh, you had something die? My condolences. Take one to your face. Where any game action makes people lose life, you just play this, and then when people start getting low enough at like 6, and then you know, when people start getting in like the single digits, drop one of these, everyone goes to single digit numbers, and you still got your board full of group slug stuff going on, all of which affects the opponents and not you. So it's like, do it, pussy. It being any game action, push, and then you simply drowned these shalanks. So if you're in a deck like Volgavoth Horror of Souls, where you're doing the group slug thing, or you're in a deck like a Layla Cunning Conqueror, where you're doing the control thing, using fairies to bring home games when people get to like lower and lower health, I think setting everybody to that lower and lower health is pretty good in those decks. Hey, especially if you're playing casual. I don't know if it's hit you guys yet. I'm gonna put it in the banner at some point. You know what? Not even at some point. I'm gonna do it tonight. We talk about casual commander here. I'm sorry. Look, it's not that I think I'm better than you. We just talk about casual commander here. I get it. I could almost play an omniscience for that. Moving on, we've got Runechanter's Pike, being 2 for an equipment that equips for 2. Equipped creature has first strike and gets +X/+O, where X is the number of instants and sorcery cards in your graveyard. This is a good one. When I used to play Standard, I really liked this card. I've never been a Spellslinger player, so I never really played it to its full potential. Still played that shit. Oh yeah, you better believe there were a couple Friday Night Magics where I brought the white weenie deck and threw a couple Runechanter's Pikes so that my like one removal spell I ran in the deck would give it maybe like +2/+0 in first strike. We tried it out. Didn't do nothing. But if you're playing Commander and you're in the Spellslinger list, and most importantly, your Commander is an evasive creature or makes evasive creatures, I think this is really good at ending games. Sue me. Like if you're in Kaikar the Wind's Fury, yeah, you're Spellslinging, you're making 1/1 flyers, it is a flyer. Attaching this to either one of those while you're just popping off Spellslinging, I think you're probably going to be bashing people with a pretty big bird. No sesame. Or like seriously something as simple as like Towerand. You're making 2/2 Drakes whenever you cast instants and sorceries. Oh, so you're casting instants and sorceries. So they're in the bin and you're making flyers. You can't make the horse drink, dude. This next one's for you, guy in the comments that says we need to talk about more red cards. I've got you. Avatar of Slaughter is 6 and 2 red for an 8/8. All creatures have double strike and attack each turn if able. Oh, word? So I get it. You look at this card, you go, yeah, we're doing a creature deck thing, dude. We're going to be trying to like get the double strike on our attackers, giving it to other people. It's going to be chaos. You're like running a chaos deck or a creature deck. And you. Love this in a goad deck where you're making other people's stuff swing at each other and not you. Yeah, really good. You now kiss with your fist while this thing sits in the corner. I think that's good. I also think this is really good in like a Jeskai Pillow Fort deck, which I have no idea what commander I would bring up after this for that example, where you're just sitting behind stuff like Propaganda, Ghostly Prison. People are going to have a very hard time attacking you with this stuff in play. There's plenty of other stuff, Crawl Space, there's tons of the stuff. Also, I get far too many comments of people saying Pillow Fort, Pillow Fort, Pillow Fort. What the fuck's Pillow Fort? Why do you keep saying Pillow Fort? What's Pillow Fort? Go to EDH Rec, type in Pillow Fort. Been a thing since Commander's been around, buddy. Don't know what to tell you. So if you're in a deck like Nelly Barrico, where you're just dishing out goads left and right with that bad girl, honestly, kind of a cool commander. I didn't notice the first time she came out. I'm not saying I'm gonna build it because it's still Boros, but I might build it on Moxfield. Maybe. Or if you're in the Pillow Fort deck, like, say it with me, Pramicon. Yeah, the big wall that forces people to attack in one direction. The wall that makes you attack in one direction. It's big boy, man. The wall that makes you attack in one direction? No boy band. Yeah, anything like that. This card's gonna do some work. I'm convinced of it. It cost 8 mana. It's also an 8/8. I don't know. It's a lot of mana. It's also casual. Get over yourself, dude. Some stuff's just for fun. Third deck idea, put it in a Reanimator Goad deck, where you run all the reanimation cards that can grab other people's stuff, and you use Goad, so combat forces those creatures to go to the graveyard, and you can use Avatar or Slaughter to make sure more creatures go to the graveyard and more people take more damage. The next card I want to talk about is Kellan Joins Up, being a green, a white, and a blue for a legendary enchantment. When Kellan Joins Up enters the battlefield, you may exile a non-land card with mana value 3 or less from your hand. If you do, it becomes plotted, meaning you can cast it on a future turn at sorcery speed for free. And whenever a legendary creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. I'm thinking this is good in like a legend deck or a token deck, or a legend token deck. Like if you've got a Sisay deck where you're triggering stuff up like Bernard and you're just like making tokens, doing the legend thing. You also run like small 3-drop legends like Lorana the Third Path, so you can utilize Kellan Joins Up first ability. I think it's kind of cool. I don't know. I don't have a lot to say about this card. Why I think it will end games is because you're going to be putting this in, like I said, the token legend deck. You're going to be going wide, and then every time a legend hits the board, your whole board gets a 1/1 counter, not just legends. So that's the token aspect. That's why that becomes important. So find a bunch of legends that make tokens, make a legend shell around those type of legends, throw Kellan Joins Up in there. Yeah, that'll end games for sure. I'm going to be honest. The next one, I feel bad about forgetting because it was one of my first videos. I remember like staying up nights on end editing and recording. And I remember because my cousin was in my room while I was editing and recording, and I was like not embarrassed about it. I was like, I'm proud of this video. I'm gonna make this video. And it was my Kazur and Ukkima deck list. And we're gonna be talking about Ukkima right now. Ukkima the Stalking Shadow is 1 a blue and a black for a 2/2 that can't be blocked. And when it leaves the battlefield, it deals X damage to target player, and you gain X life, where X is its power. First things fucking first. Arna. Why didn't I put this in Arna? I'm pretty sure I have this still sitting somewhere. No, my brother has this. You have my Ukkima, and I'm getting it back. My whole Arna deck is about playing tokens or small evasive creatures that we then throw 1/1 counters on and start doubling those 1/1 counters. Not only does this check the box of small and evasive creature, it will shoot someone for an insane amount of damage for leaving. So it doesn't matter if you exile it, if you bounce it, if you destroy it. I don't care what you do, other guy. You're gonna take however big Ukkima is to the face. And in certain decks, like my Arna deck, this will easily become so big that, like, honestly, no opponent's gonna want to deal with it, because if they do, they're gonna be the one that gets shot for like 20 plus damage. And if they don't, though, it's unblockable. So you're all gonna get hit for 20 damage, and it'll get bigger. And in Arna, it'll just double. Even if you're not in Arna, just pair this with something like Blade of the Blood Chief. Whenever a creature dies, give equipped creature a +1/+1 counter, and it's a vampire. Yeah, over the course of probably 2 or 3 turns in a game of Casual Commander, your Ukkima will be double digits. And that's an unblockable double digit that if it leaves will deal its double digit to anybody. So yeah, again, game ender, kind of implied with that. Okay, this next one, game ender, heavily not implied. So let me sell you this one, especially because it's a Fallout card. I personally won't run it. I'm not a big fan of certain Universe Beyond stuff, but hey, does the owner of the coffee shop that only likes espresso not sell a cold brew? Mr. Gutsy is a 2-drop 1/1 artifact creature. Whenever you cast an aura or equipment spell, put a 1/1 counter on Mr. Gutsy. When Mr. Gutsy dies, create X junk tokens, where X is the number of 1/1 counters on it. They're artifacts with tap, sacrifice this artifact, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card until the end of turn. Activate as a sorcery. Will this thing end a game on its own? Maybe. I think like in an equipment or aura deck, Mr. Gutsy could get pretty fucking big, just from you playing the deck and then just smack people in the face. That's not a good enough answer though. This is where my definition at the beginning of the video comes into play, my little second definition of if it can set up a board state where the right deck can like swoop in on that board state and potentially end a game. I think that's where this is really good, because when you think about all the ways you could just force counters onto this thing with cards like Halana and Elena or Fangs of Colonia, I think this thing could easily be sacked to cards like Grinding Station to make a shit ton of artifacts when it dies, to then feed into something like Dragon Spark Reactor to get a ton of counters on Dragon Spark, sack it to deal a ton of damage to any player, or just use those junk tokens for the Grinding Station, or use those large amount of junk tokens for any of your infinite artifact synergies, your Marionette Masters, your Marionette's Apprentice, your Grinding Stations, and go nuts. I think it's gonna give you quite a bit. The fact that you have to dump an aura or an equipment to get it to happen may seem bad, but then you've got auras like Silk. Not getting the name, it's gonna be on screen though. 1 green aura gives something like O2 and reach or something like that, but you can pay a green to bounce it back to your hand. Then this starts to become like, oh, is this what synergy is? Wait. But I'll be the first to admit, this is the worst one on the list. This one don't fight me in the comments, I will lose. You'll be like, how is Mr. Gutsy a fucking game ender? He's a special little robot, he's a game ender. A better answer would probably be, it can set up board states that will win you games or make you winning the game much easier for you. And I did not have another video to put this in because I really don't want to just talk about it in like an obscure deck video. I wanted to talk about why I think it's good. This felt like the perfect video. I get off my back. I'm trying to relax, all right? We're back on track though. Next, we got Scouring Swarm, being 1, a black and a green for a 1/1 flying. Create a tapped token that's a copy of this creature if 7 or more lands are in your graveyard. Otherwise, create a tapped 1/1 black insect creature token with flying. Yeah, it's a Scout Swarm, but for sacking lands that has flying. And they stay 1/1s, which might seem worse, but that means it interacts with stuff like Skull Clamp. So there's a win. There's a win right there. This is very, very good. You're in a lands matter deck, like you're in Lord Windgrace. You're running the fetch lands. You're running the lands that sack to blow up other people's stuff like Wasteland. If you had $1 billion, but us casual players, we still got the options. You can run stuff like Terramorphic Expanse, Evolving Wilds, the ones from Streets of New Capenna. I don't know the name. Yeah, massive board of 1/1 flyers. That'll end a game. You get 2 of these, the next time you crack a land, you have 4, and then you have 8, and then you have 16, and then you have 32. Exponential growth, baby. Real good way to win a game of Commander. Oh, I just thought about the Necro Bloom with this thing. Put it in your Necro Bloom deck, actually. Fuck Lord Windgrace, dude. Necro Bloom? Ew. Up next as a Reanimator player, I want to talk about the Cauldron of Eternity. For 10 and 2 black, we get a legendary artifact that costs 2 less for each creature card in your graveyard, so this thing will cost 2 if you've got 5 creatures in your graveyard. Oh, that's a pretty big ask for a Reanimator deck. Oh, I don't know how we're gonna do that. Whenever a creature you control dies, put it on the bottom of its owner's library, pay 2 and a black, tap it, pay 2 life, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, activate only as a sorcery. Yeah, if you're in Reanimator and you're doing it right, this will be a 2 mana, pay 2 and a black, tap it whenever you want to recur whatever you want out of your graveyard, which if you don't play Reanimator, that's really good. And then the whole putting creatures on the bottom of your deck thing, sure, it is a debuff as opposed to being able to just put them back into your grave and recur them again. I'm not gonna say it isn't, but a lot of times in graveyard decks, you find yourself milling yourself pretty low and having a built-in way to just start putting stuff back into the bottom of your deck. Not bad. Now, where am I gonna recommend you put this commander-wise? Say it with me. Taval the Balance Scale. Yeah, all my commanders, dude. I'm selfish. All I bring up are my commanders. Taval the Balance Scale, it's putting stuff in your graveyard over and over again. If you're running it like me, it's just a pure reanimation, balls to the wall, get big stuff into play as quick as possible deck. Meaning that in that deck, turn 3, turn 4, we're getting a 2-drop that starts reanimating stuff for 3. And if you get 2 good hits from a Ripples of Undeath, you can get this thing out for 2 mana. Yeah. Next, we're going to talk about You Look Upon the Tarrasque, or the Tarrasque, being 4 and a green for an instant. Choose 1, prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to you and creatures you control, or target creature gets +5/+5, gains indestructible until end of turn, and all creatures your opponents control able to block this creature must block this creature. Yeah, tokens. We're really focusing on the second ability here, if I'm being honest. Having all your opponent's stuff block 1 creature will make sure that every other creature gets through. So in a go wide deck, that's pretty insane. Even in a go tall deck, like if you're in a Voltron deck and you can get 1 other body in play and force the opponent's board to block that body and then get your whatever through, I could see that being pretty okay. It's also got the built-in bonus of being a fog. So if you need the fog, use the fog. It's also in green, so you could like use the fog effect, drop an Eternal Witness during your turn to get it back to use the other effect on your turn. I think it's pretty good. Definitely will end games sometimes. And then finally for our list today, we've got Sandstorm Salvager, being 2 and a green for a 1/1. When it enters the battlefield, create a 3/3 colorless golem artifact creature token. You can pay 2, tap it, put a 1/1 counter on each creature token you control. They gain trample until end of turn. Sure, let's think of something that's different than like Jetmir. Chatterfang. Put it in a Chatterfang. You get a 3/3 golem, comes out with a built-in 3/3 squirrel. You get 1/1 counters to all your tokens, which is gonna be a ton, and built-in trample for all your tokens. If giving your whole board a buff and evasion isn't a good way to end a game, I've been playing the game all wrong. I could even see this being pretty good in like a blink deck, like something as simple as like Rune the Hidden Realm, blinking this 2, 3, 4 times along with some like cloud shifts or like conjurer's closets and stuff like that, getting that many 3/3 golems and then starting to put 1/1 counters on all them and trample. That seems also like you could end games outside of just being in a token deck. If you liked this video, let me know down in the comments. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe and hit that bell icon if you haven't already. Drop some of your favorite underplayed ways to bring home games down in the comments. And again, if you want to show some additional support to the channel, it starts as low as $1 a month over on Patreon or here on YouTube under the YouTube members tab. Either one seriously does help me out a ton. As always, I appreciate you guys' support on the most recent videos. I will see you guys on Sunday and have a good one. Peace.